Well, good evening and welcome to the broadcast tonight. A lot more has been happening right here in the country and across the borders. Remember, currently there are so many political shifts that are actually going to take place in the course of this week. We are all waiting to see how that will unfold with regards to Raila Amolo Odinga announcing his stand with regards to the pact that he is set to sign between him, the ODM party, and the Kenya Kwanza leadership led by President William Ruto. We are all waiting to see how that will unfold. My name is Sammy Adika. Our sign language interpreter is Boniface Mureithi. Right on to our top story tonight. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga now says that he is ready to engage with other leaders under the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition in a bid to find a common ground before his big announcement this week. Now speaking during his public consultation forum in Kilifi County, the former premier noted that he has received a go-ahead from ODM party members in the county to continue with his public consultations before issuing his stand with regards to signing a pact with President William Samoei Ruto. Now, the ODM founder further noted that he will ensure the cry of Kilifi County residents are fully addressed.
Pande ya ugatuzi, shida hii ni kwamba pesa haiji ya kutosha hapa chini ya kufanya kazi sawa sawa. Vilevile wamesema ati mambo ya miundo msingi vilevile haendeshi sawa sawa. Mambo ya hii ujenzi ya masoko, hata hii affordable housing vilevile kuna changamoto. Kwa hivyo yale yote wanataka waone kama vile inavyofanyika. Lakini muhimu zaidi wamesema wanataka chama chetu cha ODM imarishwe na ODM iwe na nguvu kuendelea mbele ili wakielekea hata katika uchaguzi ambayo unakuja. Kwa hivyo wameongea mambo mengi, lakini kwa jumla wameniambia mimi ati wanipatie ruhusa niendelee mbele. Kwa hivyo hakuna tofauti na yale ambayo nimesema jana. Sasa mimi nimetoka hapa na wakanipatia mimi kibali ili niweze kuzungumza na watu wengine, sio tu upande ile nyingine ya serikali, hata wenzetu wengine ambao wako kwenye upinzani kama Azimio. Kwa hivyo mimi nimefurahi na yale ambayo wameamua.
Sisi kama Kilifi County na naunga mkono wale wengine ambao tayari ashashauriana nao kwamba endelee, kwa sababu Kenya hii ni yetu sote pamoja, na hatuwezi kusema hata tukikaa kando ikiharibika bado tutalaumiwa tu. Afadhali turekebishe tukiwa hapo ndani. Tumempa uwezo baba aendelee atuwakilishe na tunajua atatuwakilisha vyema.
Well, we are all waiting to see the big announcement by former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. What effect will he have, or rather will he have in the Kenya Kwanza government if given the prime ministerial position that many are anticipating he is likely to be given by President William Ruto's side? Do get in touch with us through our socials at Hope TV Kenya and at Sammy Adika. We shall be having that whole entire conversation on the Dialogue KE tonight, immediately after our last story tonight. Now, former Kiambu County Governor Ferdinand Waititu will remain in jail after the High Court dismissed his application to be granted bond pending appeal after over the graft case. Now, Justice Lucy Njuguna ruled that Waititu failed to convince the court that his appeal had high chances of success, further insisting that she did not agree with Waititu that he ought to be released on bond owing to his ill health.
One of the prerequisites for one to be admitted to bail pending appeal is filing of the petition of appeal. The court can confirm that all the applicants have filed their petitions of appeal and they are on record. I noted that the applicants have complied with that requirement. However, it should be borne in mind that the right to appeal pending the right to bail pending appeal is not a guaranteed constitutional right, and the same ought to be distinguished from bail pending trial, as once a trial court has made a determination and found an accused guilty of the offense, he is no longer considered innocent, for his guilt has already been established. It is also trite that the right to bail pending appeal is not automatic. The applicant is enjoined to demonstrate that his appeal has overwhelming chances of success and that there exist exceptional and unusual circumstances which would entitle him to bail or bond pending appeal. I refer to the case of Somoff versus the Republic. Similarly, the court in the case of Simon Mwangi Kireka versus the Republic considered the same principles and stated, the principal consideration in an application for bail pending appeal is the existence of exceptional or unusual circumstances upon which the Court of Appeal can fairly conclude that it is in the interest of justice to grant bail. The court also stated that if it appears prima facie from the totality of the circumstances that the appeal is likely to be successful on account of substantial point of law to be argued, and that the sentence or substantial part of it will have been served by the time the appeal is heard, conditions for granting bail exist.
Now on matters health, today marks World Hearing Day, a global platform to raise awareness about deafness and hearing issues. This year's theme, Changing Mindsets, emphasizes the importance of early detection, prevention, and open-mindedness towards hearing care. Now, the county government of Nairobi, in partnership with Park Audiology and ENT, together with Pumwani Health, or rather Pumwani Hospital, Avenue Home Care Pharmacies, offered free hearing screenings for babies aged 0 to 5 years at Pumwani Maternity Hospital. Now, the initiative aims to encourage early diagnosis and intervention for hearing loss in children. Udoni Kariuki with the full report.
With 430 million people worldwide living with disabling hearing loss, 34 million of them being children, experts stress the need for early screening. Statistics show that 5 out of 1,000 babies are born with hearing loss or acquired shortly after birth. In partnership with the Park Audiology and ENT Center, Avenue Home Care Pharmacies, and Pumwani Maternity Hospital, the county government of Nairobi offered free hearing screening for the babies at Pumwani Newborn Unit and Postnatal Clinic.
So this year's theme for World Hearing Day is Changing Mindset. So we are trying to demystify hearing loss. Most people will have their own perceptions regarding hearing loss. It's only for the old. Change that mindset, change the knowledge that is out there, the information that is out there that hearing loss is a thing and we can prevent it. Trauma to the mother when they are pregnant, we have infections like rubella. If a mother is able to acquire rubella or syphilis when they are pregnant, and the medication again that is given to the mother can actually cause hearing loss. We have things like certain medications that a mother can take when they are pregnant.
Audiologist Helen Otunga from Park Audiology and the ENT Center explains the importance of screening for babies, the potential causes of hearing loss in babies, and the treatment available.
Have causes that are concerned with genetics, and so if a child is born in a family where there's hearing loss, then definitely the child is more at a higher risk of getting hearing loss. We also have trauma to the child when they are being born. We have prematurity. Some children, when they are born premature, they are not well developed, or when they go into the NICU, that is the ICU for newborns, then the oxygen, some of the medication can cause about 80% of the children, not all, can get hearing loss.
Helen also highlights that youth and older adults are vulnerable to hearing loss due to factors such as frequent exposure to loud noise, aging, infections, and other medical conditions.
For the older children, we have measles, mumps, meningitis, and meningitis being the lesser, the bigger evil. So if the child contracts meningitis, there's a very high risk of getting hearing loss, and that is where now vaccination is coming in. And it's important that we are able to vaccinate our children and our population against some of these conditions. By accidents, road traffic accidents, when we get the accident, it damages the inner ear, and so we can be able to get hearing loss.
As cases of hearing loss continue to rise, experts emphasize the need for regular screening, early intervention, and preventive care. They urge parents to have their children hearing checked early and encourage the public to adopt safe listening practices.
We are advocating for safe listening, whereby we advise and advocate for people who use earphones or who are working in noisy environments to take care of the ears. So for people who are using earphones, gaming, listening to music, we advocate that majority of the hearing loss that we have lately is because of noise pollution. And so when we are able to curb that early enough, then this is going to really help in ensuring that our population has less people affected by noise and less people are getting hearing loss.
With effort like today's free screening at Pumwani Maternity Hospital, stakeholders hope to raise awareness and ensure more people have access to hearing healthcare, as it is essential for our overall well-being. For Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Modoni Karaoke.
Now, on matters education, 100 beneficiaries of the Family Group Foundation's Tufuzu na Elimu Scholarship Program have attained the minimum grade of C+ and above required to join tertiary education institutions, signifying an impressive 87% transition rate. Now, speaking during the award ceremony for the top performers, the Principal Secretary for the State Department for Higher Education and Research, that is Dr. Beatrice Muganda, commended the efforts by the foundation in supporting the government's efforts in 100% transition to high school education. Now, on her side, the bank's Chief Operations Officer Belinda Maganga reaffirmed the bank's commitment to supporting the students even as they move to the next educational level. Now, 114 beneficiaries sat for the 2024 KCSE examinations, with the top 4 students attaining a mean grade of A, 12 with A-, and 84 students attaining grades between B+ and C+. Now, on matters economy, more than 30 youth and women groups in West Bukusu Ward, Bumula constituency, Bungoma County, have received goats as means of economic empowerment. Speaking after handing over the goats to the groups in the area, now the ward representative Job Mukoyandali said that the boost will help reduce poverty levels, which has for a long time choked the area's economic development. Now, Mukoyandali also highlighted that the initiative also seeks to ensure that residents engage in animal husbandry as an alternative to maize farming.
Idadi ya watu inaongezeka na mashamba imepungua kwa wingi. So ni vyema tu support wakulima wetu waanze kufuga mbuzi, kondoo. So kama idara tuna paradigm shift. Tuna mwamko mpya ambao tunataka wakulima katika eneo hili la Bungoma isiwe tu kwamba wanaegemea upande wa kupanda mahindi au kupanda miwa, lakini tunataka wakulima waanze kufuga mbuzi. Na mbuzi ni hizi breeds ambazo ni modern breeds, hybrids. Kama leo tuko na Alpine, Tockenback, tuko na mbuzi aina ya Saanen na ni za maziwa. So tuko na lengo ya kwamba miaka kama 2 ijayo hizi mbuzi zitakuwa zimeongezeka katika eneo la Bungoma.
Tutaendelea katika vikundi vyetu tukaweze kuzalisha zaidi, hata tutamtumia mheshimiwa akaweze kutulink ili wengine kama kikundi hata kama yeye hajatuletea tuweze kuchanga na tuweze kupata miradi mingine zaidi ambayo itaweza kukuza vyama vyetu.
Katika utendakazi wetu tunajua uchumi ya hii nchi imekuwa uchumi ambayo ni ngumu sana, lakini mimi kama MCA ambayo nilipewa jukumu na hawa wananchi, nimekaamua kwamba lazima nisimame na wao. Nikaamua kwamba katika vikundi vyao lazima tuweze kuwa promote ili kesho yao hata kama uchumi inakuwa ngumu, watoto wao wasome, hali yao ya uchumi, waende sokoni wafanye biashara. Na katika kutumia hizi mbuzi ambazo tumewapea hii siku ya leo, leo hii tunapatiana a total of 30 women groups na youth groups hapa wanapokea mbuzi. Tunataka iende iwasaidie kujikimu katika vikundi vyao. Hii haitakuwa mbuzi ya kugawana, itakuwa mbuzi yenye itakaa katika chama iendelee kuzaa, na inapoendelea kuzaa at least kila mwanachama atapata kupata mbuzi mmoja, ama watakuwa na mbuzi kadhaa wauze na hata wapate pesa ya kufanyia biashara nyingine kubwa kubwa.
So kwa hivyo wakulima, naumiza leo hizi mbuzi mkienda nazo mzilinde vizuri. Ni mbuzi ambazo ni za kisasa. na hazitakaa muda mfupi hivi, nyingi za hizi mbuzi zitakuwa zinazaa. Jinsi mnavyoona, hata kuna mbuzi moja hapa inaonyesha dalili kwamba ziko tayari kuanza kupokea watoto. So kwa hivyo nawahimiza wakulima, mkienda nyumbani mtumie wataalamu. Msije tu labda mbuzi ikikuwa na shida unakimbia katika msitu unazipea hiyo dawa ya msitu. Muwasiliane na maafisa wetu wa kilimo ama veterinary officers wetu wampatie mashauri ambayo ni mema ili tusipoteze huu mradi.
Now, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is now calling on the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to engage key stakeholders in the country, both in the national and county governments, judiciary, parliament, private sector, civil organization, and faith-based organizations in their development plans. Speaking during a constructive engagement with IMF's Deputy Division Chief Rebecca Spackman at the kick-off meeting of the IMF Governance Diagnostic Assessment Scoping Mission for Kenya, Mudavadi noted that this will greatly help in identifying corruption vulnerabilities and their impact on Kenya's macroeconomic performance.
To interact with the Office of the Attorney General, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the anti-graft entities that we have, KRA, and perhaps in certain instances some of the key public enterprises. Not all, but maybe some. Maybe of special interest, the ones that perhaps I would call are extremely pivotal in the economy. These could be important. I think the other people you may want to talk to is the Council of Governors. This is for the devolved units, because we are a devolved system, and the issue of the governors and how county governments are run and managed, that will be a function constitutionally that you would need to have a conversation with the governors and not necessarily the national government. In some extent, yes, but I think it would be a big omission if we came up with recommendations or suggestions and we did not get the input of the county governments, because then they'll say we are imposing issues on them. So I don't know whether you had.
Now, a section of community elders in Garissa County have raised concerns over a shadow group smuggling the youth in the region through Libya to Europe through absorbent routes. Now, the group is said to primarily target young people seeking better economic opportunities elsewhere, who instead fall into the hands of traffickers and criminal groups. Now, speaking during a community engagement forum with security agencies organized by the International Organization for Migration, Rukia Mohammed, a focal person for the Garissa County Peace Movement, called on the youth to embrace the opportunities in the country or travel abroad through the right channels.
Kwa sababu huyo mtu akipata mtu fulani atoe yeye hapa apeleke mahali fulani, akikosa kupata ile pesa alikuwa na tarajia, itakuwa ni amegeuka na anajaribu kufanya mwili ya huyo mtu ikuwe ni ingine. So kwa ufupi, yale maneno ambayo yamezungumzwa mbeleni ilikuwa juu, lakini saa hii kwa sababu ya mazungumzo kama haya,
mambo ya terrorist ama mambo ya smuggling wa watoto ikuje ikifanyika ndani yetu na sisi tuko. Watu siku hizi wameanza hiyo kazi, na hiyo kazi ni kama biashara vile tunaiona, na imetatiza parents wengi sana, wamekuwa na hiyo shida, na hiyo shida imefanyika mahali mingi ndani ya Kenya. Saa hii watoto yao wamekuwa, kuna watu ambao wanakuja kutoka mbalimbali hatujui, hatujajua hao watu kwa sababu wanafanya wizi.
Mimi ningesema tu wazazi tuchukue jukumu yetu, sababu wewe usiseme hakuna kazi Kenya, hakuna biashara, hakuna kitu. Kenya ina kazi na biashara. Unauza mtoto yako unamnunulia ardhi na unataka kutuma huko nje Libya na mahali zingine za ngambo, haitapata usaidizi yote, sababu ukisikiza radio zetu Kisomali ama Kizungu ama hata Kiswahili sana sana wanaongea hawa watoto wakilia wakasema wasaidiwe kivipi?
Well, on tonight's The Dialogue KE interview, we shall be hosting Tony Towet, advocate of the High Court, to basically address issues with regards to Raila Odinga's planned issues to do with his planned collaboration with the Kenya Kwanza government in terms of what are we likely to see. Will ODM join hands together with the UDA coalition that is made up of the UDA party and the ANC party? And also, are we likely to see other party calibrations coming up in terms of other, that is the Azimio la Umoja coalition, trying to either merge with ODM, or how will Odinga play as a major role in terms of realigning the political parties in the country? The other day we did see Martha Karua rebranding her party from NAK Kenya to the People's Liberation Party, and also Gachagua being very instrumental in noting that they are ready to unite as the opposition and send President William Ruto home come 2027. Will President William Ruto be a one-term president? Well, tonight, Tony Towet will be joining us just to break it down. And if Odinga is offered the prime ministerial position, what are some of the constitutional processes that we do have to follow to make sure that, or rather, they have to follow to make sure that Odinga easily gets that position without much opposition? Well, we'll be right back in a couple of minutes just to break down all those factors that we are likely to see the political events taking place in the course of this week. Don't go too far.
Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond what angaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful. Ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki msoul.
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Sindio?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcasts?
Really? Even Meet of the Wild?
I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website, www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
Coming soon. This November.
He's the God who raised up Moses in a palace only to use him in the wilderness, and raised up Joseph in the wilderness only to use him in a palace.
Young person, God is at work within your heart. What does it say? He is at work. It's him who is at work in you.
If you are going to be successful in the service of God, it calls for sacrifice.
We get
Welcome back to the broadcast. This is the Dialogue KE right here at Hope TV. My name is Sammy Adika, and joining me tonight is Tony Towet, advocate of the High Court, who will be helping us understand the Odinga effect. That is, if he is going to sign a pact between him, or rather the ODM party, and President William Ruto's coalition, that is the UDA coalition, made up of UDA party and the ANC party. Asante sana for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much.
It's been quite some time since we last had a conversation. And now we do have Raila back after losing the AUC to Muhammad Ali of Djibouti.
Yeah.
Now, Odinga is back. We do understand that President William Ruto was very instrumental in campaigning for him, with many people anticipating that it was a plan to at least have him out of the 2027 elections as a factor. We do understand Odinga has been a very important factor in the country. Now he is back, and President William Ruto is now saying, I'm ready to work with the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. Many are suggesting, or rather are anticipating, that there shall be a prime ministerial position created specifically for Odinga to take up. What are some of, will it first be constitutional? Do we have a constitutional provision to have that specific position? And then how do we go about it? Or rather, how will members of parliament go about it?
Constitutionally, there is nothing like, the office of the prime minister.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing like the office of the prime CS.
Mm-hmm.
There is just, remember our president when he was the deputy president.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this report called BBI report.
Yes.
When he made extensive submissions
mm-hmm.
in Bomas of Kenya,
mm-hmm.
he considered the handshake as a mongrel of a government.
Mm-hmm.
And quite swiftly, it is also materializing in this government.
Yes.
So let's say that in as much as the constitution does not envisage
mm-hmm.
the seat of the prime minister,
mm-hmm.
Parliament can sit down and create, like as we talk now, there is a report called NADCO report.
Yes.
It could be equated with that BBI report.
Mm-hmm.
It will have constitutional challenges because it will be challenged in court. That one is given because, our country is one that the civil societies are awake.
Mm-hmm.
Even individual persons who actually do not fall within the cadre of civil societies
yes.
are also active in doing public litigation,
public litigation is open to everyone.
Yes.
As long as, there is an aspect of locus standi. Locus standi is when you can sue. So in public interest litigations, there is a tilt since a case that involved Wangari Maathai in the issues of environment.
Yeah.
That nowadays anybody can sue as long as these rights, fall within the spectrum of public rights, societal rights that affect everybody. Like for example, in this matter now that I see that with the conversation that Raila has said is planning to have, I see him coming out to support the president, as he has always supported president since this broad-based government came in.
Yes.
And Raila Odinga is not somebody you can wish out. He's Right Honorable Prime Minister is not somebody you can wish away. Because many people have tried to topple him out of his bases. I mean, the places that support him. Essentially, Western, talk about Nyanza, talk about Kisii, Coast, talk about Masai Land, talk about the NDF, talk about Turkana. It seems to me that even the political outfit that is trying to shape out of the leadership of His Excellency, the former Deputy President, is, to me, a cooperation of political rejects, if I may say so. To say that they are political rejects is because it's just like when Azimio was there. Apart from his Right Honorable, the former Prime Minister, there was no credible politician who could really, woo votes and bring substantial votes to the table, apart from the influence of former Prime Minister. So for me, the coming in of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is a plus to the government, because essentially, when you're able to have a Nyanza, and you have Western, you have Turkana, you have the NDF, that is the wall of northeastern Kenya. You have Coast, you have Kisii, you have Masai Land, you have Kuria people, and then now you have Rift Valley. So the equation is full, and you can tell me that in as much as Kalonzo is loved at home, you can tell me that he's going to take all the votes from the Kamba people.
Yes. There's this issue you're bringing up about the issue to do with Odinga has always been working with former presidents. Of course, we've seen handshakes between him and there was actually between him and Moi, the 1997 deal they made with the then President Daniel Moi. Again, the year 2008, we did see the National Accord.
Yeah.
We saw a handshake in 2018 March between him and the former president. But again, we've seen Odinga today, while in Kilifi. He categorically stated that the Kilifi ODM party members have told him to engage the opposition, that is the Azimio coalition.
Yes.
I don't know whether it's still there or not.
Yes.
But then we do understand that he's likely to engage them in a conversation. You just brought up a very important point that former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is working with, you call them political rejects.
Yeah, because definitely, if you can see one of the parties there that is led by Senior Counsel Martha Karua.
Yes, People's Liberation Party.
Yes. She barely has any formidable leadership. I mean, House leaderships like, no MCA. I mean, and there is no Speaker, there is no MP, there is no Senator, there is no all those ranks that the Constitution have provided. So it begs the question that if in her own constituency in the last general elections, she didn't even manage an MP or from that political outfit, how is it then that she will rival, the person in Right Honorable former Prime Minister?
Definitely not. There's the issue of, we've seen Raila Odinga actually joining hands, then later on stepping out. Now, is it a guarantee that if he joins hands with That is William Ruto.
Yes.
Come 2027,
Yes.
President William Ruto will have a through pass when it comes to elections. Or again, like what he did during CORD. You remember the CORD alliance?
Yeah, let's see.
Again, we had Azimio. CORD alliance, that is Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, cried fall, including the current speaker, that Odinga went and left us behind. He went for that swearing in. Right now we do have Azimio. They also cried fall. Is there really an assurance that he will still be there come 2027?
As for me, the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is a person that will be there in 2027. The only thing that maybe we cannot fathom is will he run as president? Will he say Ruto Tosha? Because allow me to so that for ease of conversation, I refer to him as Raila. Raila has once said Kibaki Tosha.
Yes.
It's not that he did not have presidential ambitions. He had presidential ambitions. But I believe the person in him is a person who will weigh scales and see, like, both, in African context, we say we want to talk about horses.
Yes.
So right now we are talking about two horses. For me, the rest of the other people, especially how most of them come out. Of course, Kenya is not a place that you will want to equate politics to tribalism. But at the same time, we want to know that the underlying political sphere is, of course, on tribal formation.
Yes.
But it's not a must for you to come out and then make it, a red herring, or make it, a bold headlines.
Yes.
That you come from this tribe, and therefore you want to make formations based on tribes.
Yes.
I believe that for posterity and for us to be able to even achieve homogeneity in terms of our politics, where we do not look at the possibility of certain tribes leading forever, we should be able to integrate ourselves for homogeneity, and then we are able to pick somebody else who is not from the major tribes. But back to your question, is that come 2027, what will happen?
Yes.
As for me, I see His Honorable former Prime Minister saying Ruto Tosha. Because you have had legislators from the faction, from the government side who support the government, talking about creation of a seat called the Prime Minister's seat. It is, it can be created by an executive order. That, or by implementation of a report like NADCO report, that all parties have stakeholders have sat down, in as much as there could be some of, parts of the NADCO that I wouldn't believe that it will be implemented fully. Some could be picked up so that we can create a political vehicle where we have, the president being now the current president, and then we create a position, or I'm not talking like I'm in the government, I'm not, like they create a position for the prime minister. And then in the PSS, CSS, they split it into, the numbers they will agree on.
Yes.
As for me, that is going to work.
Yeah, it's going to work. But remember also, Kenyans currently are saying the cost of living is high and the government is actually overspending.
Yeah.
Now, if they create this kind of position, don't you think it will be actually the taxpayers will be pressed?
I think the issue of government overspending is just a perception. It's a perception because even the issue of borrowing is just a perception, because if you want to juxtapose the Kenyan political scenario, and then you want to, of course, juxtapose it with the US. US as a government, they have debts that are way beyond the GDP. Okay, when we dwell so much on trying to see a government that borrows as a government that is failing, and we want to come down to individuals. Most individuals who want to set up would go for loans.
Yes.
All right? So that they can be able to do formidable, businesses that hold water. Because if we were, for example, to depend on your salary to grow yourself, you will save for 30 years to be able to own a house. You will save for 30 years to be able to even set up a business that, like logistics business, like, you want to do any other business, like, real estate.
Yes.
It will really take you a very long period of time. Say that when you reach at the place that you want now to invest in them, you'll hardly have no time to enjoy it because you will be aging out.
Yes.
It will be in your 80s, your 90s, that now you are able to set up, a real estate in a 5-acre piece of land. If you want to really seriously save. That's why countries will rely on borrowing, because these are, of course, financial infrastructures that have been put in place so that you are able to undertake massive projects. Of course, aside from corruption that we are seeing that is rampant, even the president himself, I said it is a menace to the country.
Yes, yes.
And being the president, of course, there are cartels everywhere. And you saw what happened to the former governor of Nairobi, that is Sonko.
Yes.
He tried fighting the cartels. Instead of him winning,
yes,
it is him who was removed.
Offside, yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Now, the issue to do with, we do understand that, of course, if Odinga today decides to join government, there's something that Edwin Sifuna, that many are now saying, his remarks are actually undertones of Odinga's voice.
Yeah.
But there's something that Edwin Sifuna brought up a couple of days ago and said, even with Ruto having Raila by his side come 2027,
yes,
he will not
win,
or rather might not win. Of course, currently we've seen Africa, there's been a great shift in terms of one-term presidency, or rather the term limits.
Yeah.
And we've seen, like, now a good example is Botswana. We have Duma Boko, who now who actually took over.
Yeah.
Yeah, after some time, from the former president, who actually served for one term, despite him being in the ruling party that has been there for 58 years.
Yes.
And that is actually an example of a case where a president served for one term, which is very new in Africa, in this continent.
Yeah.
Now, with regards to that voice of Nairobi senator, is it just him speaking, or are there likelihoods that now come 2027, we might see shifts in terms of how Kenyans vote?
I want to believe that the issues that ODM could be saying through, of course, the Secretary General, his Honorable Sifuna, is one thing. You see, Raila is in government.
Yes.
And in as much as people want to say that, no, we donated, our technocrats to help the government. That could be a true position. The same time, the reverse could be the true side, that now the situation are being choreographed.
Yes.
Said that Edwin Sifuna is trying to talk about a position of a party. Yet, when we see constructively, we see the weight, like the whole weight of ODM is moving towards government.
Yes.
And in as much as we want to refer to the issues that Anyang' Nyong'o said in, I think it was Kisii or Kisumu, when he was with the Governor Kisii Simbarati.
Yes.
He said that Edwin Sifuna is the voice of the party. Okay? Aren't we getting played? I mean, your leadership is here. Your party is here. We have other people who are here. I mean, it's choreographed. I mean, it's something that, they sit down and say, you maintain that the party is okay. Okay?
Yes.
As long as we are in government and you say this party represents democracy, represents, blah, 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 that everybody says when they have a party, then, of course, politics is perception.
Yes.
It is what you want people to know. That is what we don't know what is going on in the boardrooms.
Yes, definitely.
How I wish, every other meeting that these people make, we could have cameras, and then people will be speaking in their boardrooms, and we hear them talk. Even when they're having a bromance greetings, we can hear them say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
But as for me, this situation of ODM is choreographed to maintain the party image and also be able to steer, the support that they have for the government. Because essentially, if you donate your most influential people to the government, it means that then there is the ideas of both ODM and UDA have now come to a place that there is a nexus. They have married the agendas, the goals of the parties, so that now they're steering to something that could be a coalition. I don't think if ODM will be dissolved, but I think that there is going to be a very formidable coalition that is coming. That anyone who wants to onboard, I have seen even Morara Kebaso is in this other side of Gachagua. When you want to see it properly, he lost credibility. He used to have 12,000 likes on Twitter. Nowadays, he can barely even have 236 just likes. Okay. So
not retweets.
Yes, so it means that it was a fire that was based on in where I come from. It says there is a fire that belongs to when you harvest maize, you have the stalks.
Yes,
it's a very strong fire, but it burns for a very short time.
Yes,
because it is not wood; it is just something. Yeah.
Now, talking about ODM not really dissolving, of course, it's one of the oldest parties. Currently, they just turned 20 a couple of days ago. Now, what will be ODM's selling point that will make them survive through this entire coalition or pact? If Raila Odinga signs a pact with President William Ruto, what will be their selling point? Remember, currently, ODM, of course, they have already donated a number of individuals, influential individuals, just as you did mention, to government. Now, I hear hearsay. According to hearsay, Odinga was offered 12 positions. That is, if he signs a pact with President William Ruto, but he insists 16 will not be a bad number. What will be their selling point to make sure that they still have a voice, apart from having Odinga as the image of ODM?
I would want to say that ODM, being a party that is older than all the parties we know, apart from, of course, the beheaded cockerel, that is Kanu.
Yes.
There is really something that everyone should appreciate.
Yes.
Supporters of ODM party are not like supporters, any other supporter. These are diehard supporters that people would go all the way to the airport so that they can be able to escort the Right Honorable former Prime Minister from JKIA all the way to wherever he is going.
Yes.
These are die-hard fans. And in as much as you can see everything that is going on in the internet, TikTok, all the way to Twitter and what have you.
Yes.
I do not believe for a second that you can, I believe for me that this TikTok and Twitter are voices of the liberal, people who live in urban areas like Nairobi, like Nakuru, Mombasa, even in Kisumu, you can hardly get that. But the biggest number of voters is found in the rural areas.
Yes.
That is why, for example, in Gishu, you can never find any other governor that is not from of course, who is not an Andy.
Yes.
Let us be astute like that, or a Keyo, or a Marakwet, or whatever. Because of one thing, the liberal people are in the town center or the CBD and the outskirts. That is where the residential parts are.
Yeah.
But when you go into the rural parts and the villages, it is so hard to sway these people. In fact, when you try to sway these people, they are going to say that you want to finish us.
Yes.
That is what, even if you go to Kisumu and tell people, now, don't vote for Raila. No, even if you are driving a car, that car, I don't know. It will be something else in a few minutes. In Rift Valley, nobody will stone you or do anything. In Masai, nobody. But they will, of course, say that if anything you're given, maybe money, and you want to talk, you will talk and you will go. But they will remain behind their own person. That is why when someone is said, in Bomet, someone is said to have stolen, the governor is said to have stolen, alleged, he has stolen some amount of money. When he was arrested by the EACC, I think he was taken somewhere, and when he came back, same scenario that happened for Raila Odinga, people escorting him from JKIA to the CBD, happened to him. People came in numbers, not actually in numbers, saying that now you want to finish our person.
Yes.
You see, that is now the what is in the rural areas. That is so hard to tilt, unless I don't know, maybe you are a magic worker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, we are seeing both, just as you did place it, that the Gachagua side right now, allow me call it the opposition. Ideally, they are the opposition, of course, not declared, but they are more like wooing Odinga. Of course, also President William Ruto's side is also wooing Odinga. Today, during the fallen former MP, that is Malulu Njendi, the late Malulu Njendi's memorial service, we did see that is former Kakamega Senator.
Yes.
Malala.
Telling
the Luya nation that right now the Nyanza side has not been voting. We've been voting for this government. Actually, we did vote for this government.
Yes.
They did not vote for this government. And Malala went ahead to say that right now they're bringing in Odinga as the prime minister. The position, of course, pointing at the current prime CS, Musalia Mudavadi. And actually, if you look at it, Musalia Mudavadi has been ideally sold out as the foreign affairs minister.
Yeah.
We do actually know little about his prime cabinet CS position.
Yeah.
Is it just a way of now, and the other day in Coast we saw the current deputy president, Kithure Kindiki, referred to Azimio leader as not really Azimio leader, but the founder of ODM, Raila Odinga, former prime minister, as the prime minister. Allow me welcome the prime minister.
Yeah.
And we would see all these kind of leaders from the government side refer to him as the prime minister. Is it just an indication that indeed we already recognize you as this? And what now will differentiate the role of the prime CS and the prime minister? Won't there be a copy and paste kind of...
Just to delve into that, there is someone who is in charge of functionality of different ministries.
Yes.
And then there is someone who is involved in government efficiency. Okay? We can equate it to Elon Musk in US, in the United States. So if you have someone coordinate the functionalities of the ministries, and then you have someone looking at the efficiency of government programs, and then you have the implementer who is now the president.
Yes.
Okay? You realize that now the president does not have to do a lot of work. The president is only a policy maker. The person who will say, can you try, doing this? And then you give recommendation to the president, he reads the recommendation, and then if it is good, he allocates you funds. And of course, through parliamentary process. But for me, there will never be any duplicity of roles.
Yes.
In respect of having a prime cabinet secretary and having a prime minister. Of course, the wage bill, of course, will continue ballooning. Okay, but I have never seen a government that went bankrupt because it is paying its people. In fact, the government, what the governments do is they try to, of course, ease unemployment. So when easing unemployment and the wage bill, the consequences, natural consequence is ballooning of the wage bill. Okay? But now, let's say we want to trim the government. Trim the government and then have 8 provinces, and then every province has a governor, one governor, make the counties to be constituencies, MPs, and then make the constituencies to be headed by MCAs, that is the wards. If you want to trim government like that, okay, you will have created more problems than, when people start to write this Constitution of Kenya 2010, the likes of Senior Counsel Otiendo Omolo brought on the table the various discrepancies that we, the people of Kenya, have been voicing since independence. And so fit that you cannot mix Kisii people and Kuria people and then say this is one constituency. Because one thing that will happen there, one very automatic thing, a courier will never be the governor of that country, of that county. A courier will never have influential a position in that county. Because basically our political spectrum is that it is a power of the vote, power in numbers. The more you are, the more you call shots. The affirmative action in leadership does not work. It only works in two-thirds gender when you're trying to fill up positions of the fair gender, so that at least you can have the two-thirds gender rule. But it can never happen. Affirmative action can never happen where there is various tribes, because they leverage on numbers. So essentially, when people start to draw this Constitution 2010, they saw the anomalies of the 1964 Constitution and say, how do we cure it? Let us trace the boundaries of each tribe and then be able to give them autonomy to be counties. That way is how then the Constitution 2010 solved the political conundrum that, if you say today, you want the whole Kisii and Bomet County, Kericho County, and Nandi County, for example, to be one county. You will never have a Kisii being a governor.
Yeah, definitely.
Just like you say now, I've given an example of Kisii and Kuria. I've also given an example of the larger Kericho County that it used to it was called Lumbwa. It used to cover up to Bomet. Then if you add now the Nandi factor, you will never have a Kisii leader, unless maybe an MCA in their home. So essentially, for me, that could be the position.
Interesting. Now, as we near completion, we do understand that currently we are likely actually to see party calibrations or other realignments that might be able to take place in the course of this week and the coming days. Of course, we do have former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua trying to indicate that come May, they will actually announce their coalition. We also have the likelihood of Raila Odinga signing a deal with the President William Ruto. How is that actually going to affect our politics realignments? Are we likely now to see the way we had initially the Mount Kenya region and the Rift Valley region coming together to bring forth a UDA presidential candidate? And also, are we now, the way you just initially said, are we likely now to see Raila saying President Ruto Tosha, now that is the entire, this other Raila Odinga's staff joining hands with President William Ruto's staff? Is it, are we likely to see such realignments?
As for me, in football, we call this a transfer window. There is going to be a transfer window where you will see people from the other side moving to this side, people from this other side moving to that side. But as for me, we will want to see like who among these two factions, because essentially we're talking about two horses now. Although the other one is not really a horse, it's something is trying to shape up to be a horse, the one that is led by the former deputy president, because of only one thing. You can never say there is this Chui party, there is Martha Karua. There is a Gachagua who is yet
to decide.
That is the former deputy president is yet to decide which party he is going to of course be the vehicle for Mount Kenya. In as much as
don't you see People's Liberation Party being the vehicle that Gachagua will use?
That is Chui party. I had the lieutenants of the former deputy president saying that we went to a wedding, but we used somebody's car and it broke down on the way. I mean, these people, once bitten, twice shy. This, the former deputy president will not allow himself to use anybody's party because once bitten, twice shy. I mean, you cannot repeat the same mistake twice, okay? Because now you see, when UDA, of course, now became the government's party, and these people were being edged out. It became now apparent that, of course, they are just walking around without any vehicle to use. So essentially, these people, I am so sure they're going to make the only thing actually that is preventing the former deputy president from announcing his party is because of these cases that the impeachment, the matter, the petition that is trying to throw out the impeachment, the processes of impeachment that were used. They are now in the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
And there is stay in the High Court matters. The main issue actually is the Deputy Chief Justice. Does she has the mandate to empanel a bench?
Yes.
There are such issues that are not delegated.
Yes.
Like, for president, he cannot delegate the command that he has for the army or the defense forces. It is not delegable. Same as, the single role of empanelment. The position I hold is that it is not delegable. You cannot delegate it.
Definitely.
Yes.
A quick one, as we near completion actually. We've known Odinga as a great opposition leader. Before, he's actually been a staunch opposition leader, voicing the cry of the people. Currently, while in Kilifi, he actually highlighted and said, I've heard the voice of the people, what they're saying about SHA and education, other issues to do with health, education, and also cost of living and all that. And I'll actually try voice that. Don't you think if he gets to join hands and sign a deal with President William Ruto and say he's given or rather awarded the prime ministerial position, is he not likely again to contradict what the government is saying and say, the people are actually decrying of the SHA issue currently, and then just voice his voice with regards to, I would equate him to Justin Muturi, what Justin Muturi is actually currently doing, castigating the very same government he's serving.
If this was a video that was, brought back from the days, because I have seen on Twitter people try to highlight a video belonging to the, of course, former Prime Minister that he was speaking against abductions. We understand that the issue of abductions has been there since, of course, the cradle of the nation. There seems to be a way that, government operatives try to suppress, a direct opposition, and it has been a norm. So the person, of course, of our president, he is not a person that is going to be afraid of criticism. I mean, for him to be able to steer the government well, he must be able to listen to criticism, because that is part and parcel of politics. And for him to have a prime minister criticizing his policies, it means one thing only, that the former prime minister is wishing well for the government. He wishes that the government could perform better. And that, to me, is not a bad thing. Because even our own president on his own has sometimes scrapped off policies that he has seen that they are overly opposed in numbers.
Yes.
He has scrapped them off.
Now talking of those policies,
Yes.
what is your final take
Yes.
with regards to last year, July actually, we saw him scrap off state officers from participating in fundraising, and on Sunday, just this Sunday, we saw his hefty, allow me call it hefty donation, 20 million Kenya shillings to Jesus Winner Ministry. And actually, we saw on Twitter, or rather X, so many Kenyans up in arms against the General Overseer of Jesus Winner Ministry, that is Edward Mwai. Actually, and they were saying, like, we do have children in the northeastern part of the country and the northern part of the country going hungry. They lack proper classrooms, and here is our president handing over 20 million and pledging an extra 100 million towards the construction of their mega church, which will be worth 1.2 billion. And most of them are not really actually understanding why is SHA failing, yet the president is busy donating 20 million to the church. Do we really need to donate more to the church, or do we really need to support these systems that are not working? His own policy was no state officer will participate in fundraisers. Now we are seeing him actually coming back and leading his entire lieutenants towards such donations. Does it really make sense? For what is your take on that?
First of all, before I even shift my weight there, is that when we give out tithes in church, when people reflect, the salary of our president, they say it's $1 million, per year. They say so. Ideally, it is $1 million. But are we closing out that? Are we saying that the president does not have any other business apart from any other income, any other channel of income, apart from, of course, what he gets from what he's paid,
a salary?
Most people do not depend on salary. Sometimes people use this salary to pay bills only. Sometimes. Of course, there are those people who only depend on that salary, but there are people who their salary is just there for bills and something. But of course, these are people who have created many channels of income. He has been in politics even longer than the former president, Honorable His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. He has been in politics even more than Raila has been in politics more than him.
Yes.
But you realize that since he won for the first time to be an MP, he has never lost to date. All this time, in government is where people, do good businesses that people think about. People, sleep and say, I want to do this business. Is when you're in government, you can do them. Because essentially, you are in charge of the policies that are being made here and there. And we cannot rule out. This is Africa. Even in the US, the US said itself, the reason why it was cancelled is because of one thing. Bureaucracy. You donate money, but it finds the way back to you.
Double or more.
Yes, it happens in China. It happens it is something that we cry in the country and say there is corruption. But if you are given a chance to occupy that office, if you become as straight as iron linen, then I don't know, maybe you are from Pluto. I don't know, maybe I don't know.
But is it possible to be as straight as linen, the way you put it?
Even Nelson Mandela, okay, the way he's lauded. If you read some texts, so small texts about the apartheid and how it came to an end, and how he compromised independence, complete independence, like that one of Zimbabwe, just for the purpose of now onboarding everyone, saying, now this is our nation. In as much as you have colonized us, you remain with us. Let's coexist. Okay. There was a form of a bit of, if you read properly, you will read, some mischief. Yes. There is nobody in this world that can stand and say, I am not corrupt. Or if given a chance and say that I am not corrupt. Because even most of us are guilty of, we do not file our returns in KRA, guilty of, someone has given you some amount of money you don't want to return. I mean, it's just a vice that everybody has. Or even the bank has loaned you money and you don't want to pay back the money.
In 10 seconds, Tony, help us understand. What is your take in terms of, will the Ruto-Raila pact be a good thing for the country as they put it, or will it be negative in terms of silencing the opposition, the fight for the rights of the common Mwananchi?
I believe that his Right Honorable, the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, stood for democracy for the longest time. Everybody knows the freedom of speech that we enjoy now, that we can even speak and sometimes, make some comments about the sitting president, and, still enjoy our freedom, is because of basically what the second liberation that his Honorable Raila Odinga brought. Okay, so in as much as we would want to see a tilt of him supporting the government, he has supported government. He supported Moi through cooperation, supported Kibaki through Nusumkate, supported Uhuru through handshake. Now he has come through the broad-based government. To mean that this is a guy now that he understands politics more than most of these people who you're seeing them in the scenario now.
Yes.
He understands that this and this should be done. And for me, the pact between Ruto and Raila, His Excellency the President Ruto, and his right honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is good for the country because it shows the aspiration of many people. Because if you're able to unite a population that is more than 70% of the population, it means that you have the backing of the people. Remember that, democracy is not always, African democracy is not always the democracy that we read in books. Because the democracy will trickle down to tribal aspects, trickle down to interest aspects, especially because the union of these two people, Ruto and Raila, His Excellencies, are all about interests. And it will be a good thing for the country.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, that is Tony Towet, advocate of the High Court, telling us that the pact between President William Ruto and, of course, Raila Odinga will be a good thing for the country for reasons he just highlighted. My director tells me it's time to pack and leave. Many thanks for your time. My name is Sammy Adika. Our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Mureithi. Do have a wonderful night. Until next time, goodbye.